Andy, my dude, have you heard of the magical website builder known as Squarespace?
Ugh, not another Squarespace ad. I feel like every podcast is sponsored by them.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it. Yes, okay, it is overhyped, but actually it lives up to the hype. Squarespace is like a website fairy godmother. With a click of a button, your site transforms into a beautiful masterpiece.
A website fairy godmother? That sounds interesting. What makes it so magical?
Well, for starters, those slick templates make anyone look like a professional web designer. Pick one, customize the colors and fonts to match your brand, and voila. Plus, the drag and drop fluid engine is so easy, your grandma could build a site on Squarespace.
Well, she did knit me a lovely scarf last Christmas. Maybe website design is next.
Exactly. And when you're ready to sell your Nana's handmade scarves online, Squarespace has built-in e-commerce. Add a store with one click. Get flexible payment options. Then watch those sales roll in. And when she wants to teach others her steezy scarf skills, Squarespace's new courses feature is just the ticket. Nana can set up her curriculum and enrollments and payments in a snap and become the next e-knitting influencer.
Oh, wow, you really sold me with the grandma angle. Sign me up for that free trial.
Just go to thenextreel.com/Squarespace and transform your site into a beautiful Squarespace masterpiece.
Well, thanks, Pete. Even though it's overhyped, Squarespace actually sounds perfect for Nana's site's needs. Appreciate the warning on the ads, though. I'll brace myself next time I listen to a podcast.
Anytime. Let me know if you need any help getting that site up and running. Andy, can you believe we've almost hit 700 episodes of The Next Reel?
I know, it's crazy. And with all the other episodes in our family of podcasts, we are well over 1,200 episodes of movie conversation. It's really pretty amazing that we've gotten to have these in-depth movie chats every week for over a decade now.
And we couldn't have done it without our loyal community of film fans. Their support over the years has meant so much.
For sure. That reminds me, we should give the merch store a shout out. Buying shirts from thenextreel.com/merch is a great way listeners can continue to support the show. Plus, they get to sport our great designs.
Absolutely. I think sometimes folks forget we have a variety of shirts, mugs, phone cases, and more available. In fact, a great place to start is with a shirt sporting the Next Reel's logo.
We also have that classic Fast Times Spicoli Surf School tee, or the weirdly popular Rusty's European Tour shirt.
The one from National Lampoon's European Vacation. Why is that so popular?
Search me, but we have sold a ridiculous number of those. I guess there are a lot of Rustys taking trips to Europe?
We're always adding new designs based on movies we've covered, like our brand new design for a streetcar named Desire, featuring a streetcar named Desire. So if you want to rep your love of TNR and films, head to thenextreel.com/merch.
Every purchase helps us continue to have these weekly in-depth conversations. So visit thenextreel.com/merch today.
And as always, thanks for listening and being a part of the Next Reel community. We've got lots more great movie chats coming your way. I'm Pete Wright.
And I'm Andy Nelson.
Welcome to The Next Reel. When the movie ends,
our conversation begins.
In just a matter of seconds, you're going to hear a classic episode of this show from back in the day when we called ourselves Movies We Like.
It took us a while to settle into the show's format, so you'll notice some differences as you listen to these episodes. For instance, it takes us a bit of time to actually get into the conversation about the movie. Things like that.
But we're still proud of the conversations about the movies themselves, and we think they're worth keeping in the library.
So enjoy these episodes from our back catalog. And you can become part of our Discord community, learn more about the show, and find out how you can become a supporting member at thenextreel.com.
So thank you, everybody, for downloading and listening to The Next Reel. We appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you enjoy the show. Let's go back to my office and talk about this like two reasonable beings. Nothing?
I don't know. Well, okay.
This is going to be a long night. I can already tell.
I failed already.
A long night. I got two guns in my hands. Put one of them down. I ain't putting the guns down.
Oh, my.
Hey, Andy, why is there a watermelon there?
There's a funny story to that one.
I can't wait to talk about the watermelon.
I'll tell you later. Hey, Andy. Oh,
Hi.
how are ya?
I am good.
Tell me why. Why are you so good, you big shot? You big show off.
I'm just happy.
Yeah?
Happy to be, happy to live, happy to I don't know. I'm just plain happy.
That's great. Did you take an Ambien before we started?
I should have. Although I am drinking a gin and tonic just to really kick things off right.
What?
I know.
Hey, I can't. I've been looking forward to the series we're starting tonight for a long time. I think going on a year.
I think you're the one who came up with this, and I think it's a fun idea, and yeah, this is it's going to be a fun little series. I hope it's going to be a fun series. I'm a little trepidatious about talking about mine next week. But.
Well, I'll be honest with you, I haven't watched yours yet, so I'm excited about that.
Good.
But so we're doing it. Well, before we get to all that, I just am telling you that I'm giddy with anticipation. That's what I wanted to get out there. That I'm giddy with anticipation. But I don't have any good stories of the week. I have done exactly nothing because I'm gonna tell you the truth. I haven't gone on vacation yet. We're pre-recording this just a little bit. By the time we listen to this, I will be firmly ensconced in vacation.
And I will be too. Maybe that's why I feel so good, is because I'm projecting myself into my week of vacation.
That's right. That's what I'm doubly giddy because I know that while this show goes live, I will be totally vacationing. Oh,
I love it. I love it.
So anyhow, let's get into the meat of things. But first, let's tell the people where we're from.
Please do.
Hey everybody, it's the next reel. I'm Pete Wright. That there is Andy Nelson.
Yo.
Who I'm going to start calling Perfect Andy.
I'm gonna bleach my hair blonde.
And we spoil movies. We spoil new ones and old ones and all the ones in betweens. You can find out more about us at thenextreel.com. You can join us on the various social platforms to join the conversation online. We're pretty much everywhere. And make sure you search for and subscribe to the show on iTunes. It is the best way to make sure you don't miss a single solitary episode. And with that, because I've already let the cat out of the bag, that we pre-recorded this a little bit, we don't actually have a people versus outsmarted Stephen Smart Instagram Pony Prize Guess the Movie Challenge update.
We don't, but man, I bet it's going to be a good week.
I'm sure that it's going to be a good week. Why? Because I'll be on vacation.
That's right.
So, okay, then let's just jump into trailers.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to go first on this one, and it's because it's dark, and I need you to cheer me up afterward.
Okay, let me do that.
I sort of can't believe we haven't talked about this movie yet, mostly because of its cinematic pedigree, the fact that we've done a whole series on this director's films, and this one didn't rise to the surface more quickly. I'm talking about Gone Girl, directed by David Fincher, written by Gillian Flynn, based on her novel, her extremely dark, oh my God novel. It stars Ben Affleck, Rosamund Pike, Neil Patrick Harris, and other people. It's got lots of people in it, including Tyler Perry. But I think it's going to be. I don't think he's going to be Tyler Perry.
And it's not going to be Tyler Perry's Gone Girl.
Right, right. And so this is it's a twisty story, if you haven't read it. I encourage you to read the book. It's pretty grim. It's about not a great marriage, and I think. You know what it made me think of? It made me think of the story. There was a story about one of David Fincher's other movies. This is going to be horrible because I can't find the exact detail, and you know how good I am with details. But there was this story about how David Fincher wanted to control all of the marketing for a film that he was doing. It included doing some really bizarre song over the trailer that just absolutely didn't fit. I can't remember if it was Zodiac or something that just was really a horrible choice. And then we get Gone Girl, and I get that same kind of feeling about about his choice of marketing. The song that is playing almost entirely through the thing is the song "She," that was originally done. Well, it's from the 70s, but it was made famous by Elvis Costello on the Notting Hill soundtrack in the late 90s, and this version is "She," covered by Richard Butler of the Psychedelic Furs. And I am sort of mesmerized by it.
Yeah, it's interesting. He did use a song in the Social Network trailer that I think also was rather mesmerizing.
What was it? I don't remember.
I can't remember, but I remember really liking its use in the trailer. It was pretty good. I think, I don't know if it's the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo one that might be the one that you're thinking of, the Led Zeppelin cover.
Well, that was actually, I thought that was great.
Yeah, I remember some people thinking that they felt that the original song would have been a better choice, but so I don't know. I'm not quite sure which one you're talking about, but I do like "She" in this. I don't know. I feel like I want the trailer to be more compelling, but because it's Fincher, I kind of give him a pass, and I feel like I am excited about it, and it. I don't know. It looks interesting, and I haven't read the book, so I'm really curious about what this is going to be all about.
I got it, but it wasn't the song. This was related to David Fincher potentially directing the Steve Jobs film based on the book. And this is from the Hollywood Reporter. Fincher is said to be seeking a hefty $10 million upfront in fees, as well as control over marketing and negotiations with the studio. Sony did allow him considerable input into the marketing of the 2011 film The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, including honoring his request to use the tagline, "The Feel-Bad Movie of Christmas," in its campaign. So anyhow, what are you going to do?
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. You're also still David Fincher, so congratulations.
Exactly.
Anyhow, this film, I think the trailer is it's the trailer. It's got some interesting music. I think what is most fascinating about it is just that the general this movie was, or this book is, best selling movies on the New York Times bestseller list for over, I think it was 79 weeks, and so it is a hotly anticipated property. What I hear is that fans of the book, even though it is rumored that the end is different from the book, according to Gillian Flynn, she, the way she says it, don't worry, I wrote it. I wrote the screenplay and the book. It's still dark. It's not a musical.
That's what piqued my curiosity, is the fact that she also adapted the screenplay, and I heard that she changed a bit, and it was almost like for her as a chance to write a kind of a different version of the story. So right. I'm curious, because she says it's going to be. It's not going to, people who've read the book, it's not going to just feel like what's going to be happening. So, which is great in a book like this. I mean,
I think this goes back to our conversation about, adaptations, and I like the idea that she's playing with the universe a little bit.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk about it in probably 2015, I think.
I know. I think we will add it to the series.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's all I have. Now do yours. Make me feel better.
Okay, and yours opens October 3rd.
Oh, yeah, October 3rd. Way out there. You got time.
Yes, a little while. Mine is The 100-Foot Journey, directed by Lasse Hallström. based on the book by Richard C. Moraes. Is that how you say that? I'm not quite sure. Adapted by Stephen Knight, one of our faves,
Indeed.
and produced by Steven Spielberg and Oprah Winfrey. So quite a pedigree at the top of this one. It's Lasse Hallström, I think, is one of those directors who can be very. His films can have a very heavy dose of cheese in them that some people can have a really hard time with. And I can certainly have a hard time with the cheese in some of them, but man, some of them just really work for me. And I mean, I'm not afraid to say it.
I bet you teared up at the trailer.
I didn't tear up at the trailer.
You
this
did
is
too,
not a teary trailer. This is a feel-good trailer.
It's a teary of happiness trailer. It's, oh my God, I'm so happy I cried.
I just really want to eat all this food in the trailer. This is a story of an Indian family who moves to France right across the street from a restaurant that has a Michelin star. And it's just one of the very fancy hoity-toity restaurants owned by Helen Mirren. And it's just kind of that battle of the restaurants sort of story. But it has that very feel-good look to it that I feel is just totally going to sucker me in. I'm going to be sucked into this film, and I guarantee I'm going to walk out and enjoy it. It just, there's something about it. And the fact that Stephen Knight adapted the screenplay, I think he's really tapped into kind of two cultures coming together and the cultural clash of that with like Eastern Promises, Dirty Pretty Things, Hummingbird. There's something about the way that he tells those stories that I think shows that he's got a good understanding of cultures and cultural differences. And I think that this is a perfect story for him to have adapted.
I think so too. This is one I also was totally sucked into the schmaltz. And at the end, I'm not afraid to say it. At the end, when she says, "Why would you add these spices to this 200-year-old recipe?" And he says, "Maybe 200 years is enough." I choked up a little bit.
You did.
I did. I'm the guy who choked up a little bit.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good.
Excellent.
When does it come to my fair screen?
This one is going to be opening in August. I believe August 8th is when this one opens. So it looks really good. I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy this one.
I think you are too.
Yes, and it's got Om Puri in it.
Which also sounds like a spice.
He's one of those Indian actors who's just been in so many movies. So many movies. Hey, so those are trailers. Awesome trailers. And now, Andy. Yes, Pete.
Buckaroo's in trouble.
It's time to get guilty.
He's a rocker. Doctor.
Don't tug on that. You never know what it might be attached to.
Inventor.
Activate oscillator.
It's broken the sound barrier.
Philosopher.
No matter where you go, there you are.
And the only hero.
Buckaroo.
Buckaroo.
Buckaroo. Curse you, Banzai!
Who can save us all.
Evil! Pure and simple from the 8th dimension! Venom!
Launch thermal pod.
Buckaroo Banzai is pure nutty fun.
Buckaroo, you forgot your thruster.
Why don't you hold on to him for a while?
The cult sci-fi classic.
Run! Run!
In a dimension all its own.
Real life Martians landing in New Jersey.
Holy Toledo! We will fire a portable beam weapon! Vaporize the whole damn planet?
If we blow this today,
Get him up.
there ain't no tomorrow.
Left! I said left! This is left! I mean my left! All left! Go your right!
Buckaroo, President's calling about is everything okay with the alien space cloud from Planet 10, or should we just go ahead and destroy Russia?
Tell him yes on one and no on two.
The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Which was yes, destroy Russia or number 2?
Okay. All right. We're ready. I'm ready. Lay it on me.
Are you ready? You want me to start?
No, I should probably start.
You should start. This is your guilty pleasure.
So the guilty pleasure. So because we've been talking about this for a year, I feel like we've had enough of a teaser. But the whole brainstorm, the whole thing that I had in my head was, wouldn't it be funny if Andy and I surprised each other with movies that we were just a little bit embarrassed to love? And so there are guilty pleasures, and that, I think, sums it up. We're a little bit guilty to love, and so this is like we're bearing our souls here. This is movies that are very close to us, and so there's a certain amount of mutually assured humiliation. And so, as we discussed last week or so, my guilty pleasure is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. 1984. The film was written by Earl MacRouch and directed by W.D. Richter. Stars everyone, which is so great. Peter Weller plays Buckaroo, but not to be outdone. We have John Lithgow, Ellen Bark, a very young Ellen Barkin, Jeff Goldblum, Christopher Lloyd, Lewis Smith, Rosalind Cash, Robert Ito. The list goes on and on. Clancy Brown, are you kidding me? It's just great. The story, as I think said by one of the great Buckaroo nerd fans, sums up thus: a sci-fi action comedy about a half-American, half-Japanese rock star, brain surgeon, physicist, test pilot, master swordsman, comic book hero, adventurer with his own volunteer private army, fending off an alien invasion from another dimension, starring RoboCop, The Fly, and the Kurgan. That is Buckaroo Banzai.
Although I would say that he's not fending off an invasion.
No, he's really not. That's not entirely fair.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, he's a little inaccurate in his description, although very excitedly trying to get everything in there. So I give him that.
I feel like I should at least start with why.
Why do you love this so much?
Okay. Why is Banzai a guilty pleasure for me? I have to acknowledge that it's not a good film, strictly speaking, right? The script generally is a mess. It takes, you're talking to friends and family, and you say, hey, you like that Buckaroo Banzai film? What's that about? And I dare you to get through the entire thing in under an hour. Like, it's not an easy film to explain to the uninitiated, right? The entire experience is so chock full of these little bits of pop culture innuendo and references that it is cultivating. It's like actively cultivating pop culture references as you watch it, that it's really easy to feel like you're watching this long joke between two people that you have never met, and you never are going to get the punchline of this inside joke between these two people. That's what it sort of feels like watching it, and in that respect, it's very difficult for this film to bring in new viewers who aren't sort of the dedicated sort. But I really believe that once you've seen it that second or third time, that you will never hear, hey, what's that watermelon doing there? The same way again. It is. I feel like. I recognize that this is a bit of an odd pick. It's an odd pick, because it has achieved this sort of pop culture stardom over the last 20 years. It probably dates me more than some other films we've talked about that I deeply love. But I think it's a great film with arguably more substance than people give it credit for, and absolutely more class than many of the other films we have discussed. This film exudes 1980s class, and I just have fun. So I also think that the experience of watching the film takes me back to this point where the act of making movies was completely frivolous, right? That you get this sense of these great actors, right? These actors in this film, many of them are great actors, and they put on wigs and bad teeth and they play. Right, that's the experience I get when I watch the Buckaroo Banzai. It's this sense of frivolous play that I don't get in many other films. That I feel like everybody on this film is having a really good time, and that comes across even, 30 years later. These people are having a good time, and it's absolutely contagious. There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, and it is 30 years old this year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there you go.
All right. That's it. Now lay it on me. What do you got?
This is a film that I watched it and I instantly could tell that, man, I wish I watched this when it came out or when I was of the right age. Because I could tell that this would be a film that I would hold close as well.
Yes.
I didn't. This was actually the first time I've ever seen this movie.
I think you said that too fast. Let's rewind that. I didn't.
No. I'm saying I didn't watch it then.
Oh,
I only
okay.
watched it just now. And I can catch on to all the things that I would love about it, while still going at it for the first time with the brain that I have now as an adult, and I can see all of the problems and the strange things that are a little off and everything. So it's hard for me to jump onto the guilty pleasure bandwagon on this one. Although I feel like this is a film that if I did happen to watch it a few more times, I probably could start getting there, because it does have just some really strange things that happen. This is a good example, I felt, watching this, in comparison to Escape from New York, which we talked earlier on in our series about world building. And the thing that really blew me away in this film was this, just really how complex of a world the director, W.D. Richter, and the writer, Earl Mac Rauch, created with this whole story of Buckaroo Banzai. And it's so full. This is a world that is, it's exploding. There's just so much going on in this story that, it really kind of blew me away that in the mid-'80s this movie came out and there wasn't more talk about it. Now, I know the budget was more than twice Escape from New York, so they had a lot more money to play with, which is strange for first-time filmmakers. But even then, I still feel like they had a really good sense of the world they were creating and created something that was really just kind of had a very strange magic to it that it really feels like, and this is going to be a weird comparison, but it feels like The Lord of the Rings in a sense, where I get a sense...
You have just justified all of my love for this film.
I know I have. There is so much detail in this, and there is so many little references and so many just things on the walls and things just props, like the prop comic book, the Buckaroo Banzai comic book. There's so much stuff that they infuse in this world that builds not just the world of this film, but this entire world of Buckaroo Banzai and everything that he is and everything that he represents, and the evil Hanoi Shan and the World League of Criminals or whatever it is. It's like they really go to amazing lengths to create this world that was so much more than I ever had expected to be in this film. And I have to acknowledge how exciting it was to watch a film, and maybe it's just because Escape from New York is fresh in my mind, but that one was so cheap and so Ed Wood in a weird way that just didn't work. This one, even though the story is kind of convoluted and messy, and the whole film itself just has kind of this messiness of first-time filmmakers, there is something about it that is infused with passion of this world that these guys have created that I not just appreciate, but I can sense it being something that I could fall in love with. How's that?
I'll take that. I sort of feel like we shouldn't talk anymore because I feel really good about that.
And it'll only go downhill.
Yeah. let's not pull back the covers too much. I'm glad you said that about world building, and I had not thought about any sort of comparison to Lord of the Rings. My comparison is one that I thought might be a little bit closer to your heart, which is to Joe versus the Volcano.
Oh, perfect.
And John Patrick Shanley's first time directorial effort. We both very much love Joe versus Volcano, Tom Hanks, and I think both of these films kind of approach this world building unapologetically. Right, Buckaroo Banzai we're just thrust into this universe, into this world of Buckaroo Banzai with no explanation at all as to where we are, how we got there, who these people are. I'm sort of gratified that you had never seen it because I don't remember the first time I saw this film. I don't remember my first experience seeing this film, but trying to figure out this relationship between Buckaroo opens on him as a neuroscientist. Don't touch that. You don't know what that's attached to. Working on a brain. Then to, who are the Hong Kong Cavaliers? What's their relationship with him? The movie takes no time to stop and acquaint us to the universe. It really, as wacky as the film is, it has high expectations of its audience. And I think that's one of the reasons it has such staying power as a cult favorite, because the people who love it, who really attach to it, are the people who really worked to get it. And I think the same thing could be said of Joe versus the Volcano. It has just enough of the sort of insider vibe that you have to really study it to understand the smarts of it. That's what gives it that sort of cult hit. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think that's a good comparison, and I think Joe versus the Volcano is a good comparison because it also was a film that didn't fare very well at the box office, but has it kind of attained a cult status because there's something about the story that draws people in.
Yes. Yeah, it's got a bit of a sort of sweet sensitivity to it that I think draw people in. And I think, I wouldn't call Buckaroo Banzai sweet sensitivity, but I would say that, as we kind of dig into the cast a little bit, Peter Weller is still magnetic. As this crazy Renaissance man. Like, this is the ultimate characterization of a Renaissance man, right? This is a guy who not only he's not somebody that you meet at a party who happens to know, a little about a lot of stuff. He's a guy who actually has achieved excellence, practical and professional excellence across crazy realm of professions between neurosurgery and particle physics and driving race cars and being a comic book hero. And I think Peter Weller's performance of Buckaroo Banzai, if it's not trite to actually make a commentary about Peter Weller's performance as Buckaroo Banzai, one of the reasons I find myself so drawn to this character is that it really feels like he doesn't really care whether I like him or not. Like, it feels like high school. He's like the cool kid, and no wonder all these guys hang around him, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, because he's just, it's like, whatever, he's just so awesome.
Well, and he clearly is a guy who has that magnetic personality that draws people in, but then lets them join him doing what it is that they do best.
Yes.
And so that's what's interesting. And what's great about his team, the Team Banzai, aka the Hong Kong Cavaliers, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
like Perfect Tommy is not only the designer of the jet car, but also like plays the guitar in the band, and is just one of his team. And it's so funny how
generally
they all
accepted to be perfect.
right.
Yeah, they do. They all have this thing, and I love there's this angle of the Hong Kong Cavaliers where we watch them adopt a new member, right? Mm-hmm. And Jeff Goldblum is that new member. He is a neurosurgeon and colleague of Buckaroo's, and that's how he is the first other person that we meet as they're doing a sort of We're led to believe that he has come in and sort of rescued Jeff Goldblum's character by finishing a surgery that Goldblum had gotten it over his head on, and during their conversation as they're working on this brain, he says, "Hey, do you sing?" A little. I dance. and suddenly, this doctor neurosurgeon is now New Jersey, and he wears bright red cowboy outfit and a big hat, and he sings a little and dances and plays the piano, and he's a neurosurgeon. And I love that. I love you talk about like he lets these people in to kind of be who they are. I love it. Now, in contrast, we have John Lithgow's character as Dr. Emilio Lizardo, soon to be taken over by Lord John Worfen, one of the aliens from the stuck in the eighth dimension.
One of the electroids from Planet 10.
The electroids, yeah. And he, I get the feeling sort of that he's the kid that deeply wanted to be a part of the Hong Kong Cavaliers, but couldn't understand how to fit in and just went crazy.
Yeah, even as the doctor, before he was taken over by Lord John Worfen, I mean, he already clearly is a little mentally unstable. I mean, they're trying to open the portal to the eighth dimension, and he just charges in.
Yeah.
Before everything is set up, and gets stuck there, which leads him to be possessed. And there's something really crazy about him, which is brought to the highest level, perhaps, that I've seen John Lithgow ever perform. Of the most over-the-top insane performance, which I have to say, every time he was on screen, it was one of the most joyful things to watch, because I don't know if I've seen any performance like this where it was so crazy, but it was so fun. And it's just, he was a nut, and he really went for it.
Oh, did he ever? With the wig and the teeth and
and the crazy Italian accent.
Yeah, and he talks about that a little bit, about his about his performance, and I've already hang on. I have him talking about he talks about his performance, and he says, "I have had roles where I came very close to going over the top. In Twilight Zone, I almost went over the top several times. I would say editorially, I think that point is arguable. But this role is completely over the top. It makes the role in Twilight Zone seem like a model of restraint. Yes, that's true. I do it in a wild red fright wig and rotten false teeth with a thick Italian accent. It's wild. So, it's like none of the absurdity, I think, is lost on these people playing it. But I would suggest, based on this film, that the caliber of an actor should be judged by the level of sobriety they bring to a part, directly related to the level of insanity going on around them.
Yeah.
Because that's what this movie is all about. It's about taking great actors, making them do serious stuff in an insane environment.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It is really, it is just crazy, and everybody has to do crazy things. There's something that is great about getting these actors to do these crazy things. John Lithgow, Christopher Lloyd, actually all of the Lectroids, Dan Hedaya and Vincent Schiavelli, that little group of these Lectroids, all named John, conveniently.
Right.
And just like the weirdness of their names, and like how Christopher Lloyd's character is John Big Boutte, but everyone calls him Big Booty.
Big Boutte.
It's Boutte. And just like all the weird names of the Johns, like when they're looking at that list of all these Johns that were mysteriously born in 1938 or requested social security numbers or whatever it was that happened, like the names of the Johns, I mean, just looking through the cast list, John Big Boutte, John Worfen, John Emdahl, John Parker, John Paca, John O'Connor, John Gomez, gosh, I mean, it goes John Yaya,
John Yaya, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there's all the ones that you just see the names on the screens, and it's just crazy names. It's like they clearly had no sense of the English language. But every actor takes everything they're doing so seriously that it makes this world work, because it's just craziness. Everything about it is just pure craziness. But because they're serious about it, they make us believe that this crazy world is real, and that's the only way you can play a movie like this, I think.
True. It reminds me, when I was in high school. I mean, do you remember the first sort of movie you ever made? In your youth?
Yeah. Well, I remember the first script we were writing. I'm trying to remember the first movie I made. Yeah, it's not one I want to remember, I guess.
I actually think mine has been converted and is on YouTube somewhere. It was called Dr. Turbo Shots and his sidekick Throttle, and I think this is the first one that survived, and I can date it only because I had a car, and so I'd just gotten my license. I was still very much in high school. It was Dr. Turbo Shots because the car had a turbo. It was a Saab turbo. It was John Elway's ex-wife's old car, and we got it for a steal, and it had turbo on it. And one of the things that we used to do was we would always do these dramatic product shots where we would do a close-up on the turbo logo, and so the movie became Dr. Turbo Shots, and I was the superhero, and it was complete with stunts provided by our collection of G.I. Joe toys, where we would like throw the F-14, the G.I. Joe F-14 across the frame, pointing up
right.
at a cloudy sky, and then put it in slow motion and tie fishing wire to the thing to do a jump, a parachute jump, and cause the cockpit, and it fooled my mother. So if the bar is that, I mean, she really thought we went out to the Air Force Academy and shot F-14s going overhead doing a jump,
which probably would have been pretty easy for you too.
Yeah, right. Well, they don't bail out of F-14s over the Air Force Academy often.
That's true.
That's pretty rare. You watch those things crash. But that was the first, and that's what this movie takes me back to. It's that sense of, oh my gosh, I'm in high school with a camera. What could I do? And in that respect, I mean, this movie doesn't stop, right? I mean, it is full of answers to that question: what could we possibly do next?
Yeah.
And a lot of it is in props. You wanted to talk about the watermelon, which I think is, for some reason, one of the most wonderful moments in the film. They're running through They're running through the series of labs in Banzai's facility, and they're in the critical stress lab. And New Jersey looks around and says, "Hey, what's that watermelon doing there?" And he says, "I'll tell you later."
There's the funny thing about a cult film like this is it spurs on a wide variety of followers, including those who have websites. And there's a great little Buckaroo Banzai FAQ website that has answers to all sorts of questions that you may have, including what exactly is the watermelon doing there. Plus, there's also the actual Banzai Institute website where you can read up on what the Institute is up to these days. The best part about that is they have an advertisement at the bottom, which is for the perfect Tommy family of funds.
Yes.
So yes, it's. I mean, they're really serious about this world. But the watermelon, I mean, there's a story that I'm not going to go into if you want to read it, we can post this link in the show notes to this Buckaroo Banzai FAQ site, so you can find out what the story is within the world of Buckaroo Banzai. But according to the filmmakers, what happened was the producer who had basically given them all this money, Bagelman, I believe was his name, he had he was watching all of the footage every day, all of the dailies as they would come in, and he was, he signed off on this movie and gave them $12 million to make it or something like that, and then he kept having problems with it. Like, he was very upset that Buckaroo Banzai was wearing red glasses. And he told them he couldn't wear, like, no real hero is going to wear red glasses. And they really liked him, and so they said, we really want him. And he said, okay, you can use them 3 times. And so they got to use red glasses 3 times in the film. And it got to a point in the making of the movie where they weren't sure if he was actually still watching the dailies or not. So they decided they were just going to do something crazy, like throw a watermelon randomly in the shot and reference it. And see if he commented on it and brought it up. Like, what are you doing with this watermelon? That has no purpose in the story. And I guess he didn't. So I guess that there was a window of time where he wasn't watching the dailies. But that's why they put the watermelon there, just to kind of test the producer to see if he was actually still paying attention to what they were doing.
I love these stories so much.
Oh, I know. It's very funny.
Oh, it's very funny.
Yep.
Let's see. Who else strikes you as somebody particularly noteworthy as we work through? We got to talk about Ellen Barkin as Penny Pretty.
Yeah, Ellen Barkin. I mean, talk about somebody who's kind of, I guess, found a new light as a Twitter person. She's like very big in the Twittersphere. Which I find
I find it amusing hearing you talk about the Twittersphere.
I know the what is it called again?
the Twittersphere.
Twittersphere. Yeah. I there's something about Ellen Barkin that I love, and there's something about her that kind of creeps me out all at the same time. I've never quite figured out what that is, but and it's odd. Well, looking at Cameron Diaz now, because I'm finding Cameron Diaz starting to look more and more like Ellen Barkin,
right?
Which is very strange.
I'm so glad I'm not alone. Wow.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, but she has done a lot of films, and I think she's great in, or I should say, interesting in a lot of films. I enjoy seeing her pop up. I think there's a point, maybe in the late 80s, where all of a sudden she just wasn't in anything good anymore. I think Sea of Love might have been the last thing I enjoyed her in. After that, I think I saw very few things. I saw The Fan, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Ocean's 13. That's about it. So I haven't seen a lot, but she's been very busy. She is very, very busy doing lots and lots of stuff. And I don't know, there's something really interesting and heartbreaking about, I think, her performance as Penny. And that's also kind of creepy, because when you think about it in context of the story, how she didn't know she's an identical twin, and her identical twin sister had been married to Buckaroo before she was killed by Hanoi Shan, and now they kind of fall for each other. It's a little creepy. You
know what's funny about it is, we talk so often about these characters who are introduced who are not given good B stories, right? Mm-hmm. And for some strange reason, this is a B story I'm always interested in hearing more about. And the entire story of Penny Pretty is told almost as, it's told in these just little, like, side conversations that you almost get the feeling the Buckaroo is like sort of, it's just offhanded that he drops another clue for her.
Yeah.
But by the end, it's a story you want her to be resolved.
The one thing about it that really, I won't say it really bothered me, but it just reminded me of how 80s this movie really was, is that her character gets kind of dropped and becomes the woman in distress that has to get rescued.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is very
80s.
Yeah, that really happened all the time in the 80s movies. And I would love to have, because I think that she's a strong actress who has more to her than just having to be the girl who has to get saved in the end. And I feel like if this film happened to ever get remade, or a different tale of Buckaroo Banzai were told, I think that they could find a way to make her a stronger character.
Oh, I don't know if I would want this one to be remade.
Well, there's plenty of Buckaroo stories apparently, so they could just tell another adventure, perhaps the against the World Crime League.
Yeah, so that never happened.
It didn't. This movie didn't do well enough for it to happen, but it certainly has garnered its fan base, and I tell you, these people certainly seem to be clamoring. I mean, they tried to do a TV series in the 90s. They did a whole trailer of the jet car cutting through different landscapes, fighting off aliens and stuff like that.
Right.
They have books that were out there. Marvel Comics did an adaptation of the series. I think that there's a video game out there. There's all these different things that people have been trying to do because there is a fan base for this. I don't know if the fan base is big enough, but I feel like if the right people latch onto it, they could make a really interesting follow-up, because it does feel like I mean, the whole idea was that it's kind of a serial. It's just all these different adventures of Buckaroo Banzai and the Hong Kong Cavaliers.
Right. I mean, it was an Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah, right.
You know, just another adventurer, but this one a touch more cerebral.
Yeah, right.
The film was let's see, it was, you know, how the film ended up getting written. You know, it was the, not to bring up the John Patrick Shanley again. This was one of two films directed by W.D. Richter,
right,
who was actually more of a writer, and in fact has written other films that are somewhat interesting. I know one your alternate for the guilty pleasure list was Big Trouble in Little China.
That's an absolute fantastic film, and I will take that one to my grave, defending it as a wonderful guilty pleasure. I think it's a fantastic film.
He did Frank Langella's Dracula, Robert Redford, Brubaker.
We did the adaptation of the 78 Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah.
I think that might be my favorite iteration of that story.
Yeah, I think so too. Also did Stephen King's Needful Things.
Yeah, and he wrote Jodie Foster's Home for the Holidays,
right.
and then Stealth, unfortunately.
Yeah, how did that happen in 2005 after 10 years?
I have no idea.
Not much of nothing.
Did you ever see his other directorial effort, Late for Dinner? The synopsis says, 2 men on the run from police are cryogenically frozen for 30 years.
Yeah. You know, I did not see this, but I was fascinated by the cast because it seems like something I would have accidentally seen, right? Peter Gallagher, yeah. Marcia Gay Harden, and Peter Berg.
Right.
Like this seemed like a film that would have come up, and yet it never did. It was completely news to me.
Yeah, and it doesn't even look like it's had any other sort of release. Like the home media is just blank.
Yeah, it never hit. So you know. You win some.
The interesting thing about W.D. Richter and Earl Mac Rauch, who wrote this script, is just to further this whole sense of creative world building that we were talking about. These guys, I mean, I listened to the commentary on the DVD, and these guys, they do a commentary basically saying, you know, they were chosen to, or W.D. Richter says, I was chosen to direct this documentary, or I should properly say a docudrama on this story that happened to Buckaroo Banzai. And the audio commentary is done as if this was a film based on a real Buckaroo Banzai, and they carry it the entire length. And Earl Mac Rauch is his story is that he is one of the Hong Kong Cavaliers, and he's on Team Banzai. He's in the inner circle, and so that's how he got to write this novel based on Buckaroo Banzai's exploits, and came to W.D. Richter to actually direct it. It's very weird. It's like they are so into this world that they actually are still living it.
That's too funny. I did not know that. I've never heard the commentary.
Yeah, they're really, really. I mean, they give you lots of information about how it was made, obviously, because they're saying they made a film adaptation of Buckaroo's life. But still, I'm just like, wow, these guys are so serious. They are 100% gung ho on this. This is true, and we're gonna take this one to the grave, saying that.
Wow. Well played.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was pretty impressed. I'm like, okay, these guys have the gumption to do that. So
that's awesome. We talked about this. The film has such a large cast. Any surprise cast members show up that anybody up there that really surprised you seeing them cross the screen?
It was nice seeing, all of them. I think it was a great cast from top to bottom. I think everybody did really well. I loved Matt Clark as the Secretary of Defense. I think he was very funny in that role. I just enjoyed him a lot. Carl Lumbly as John Parker I thought was great. The weird one for me was seeing Yakov Smirnoff pop in as the national security advisor with the president. I was like, that was so strange seeing him there, but okay. Like I hadn't thought of Yakov Smirnoff in quite a while, but there he was. So
yeah. Oh, that's too funny. For me, it's Jonathan Banks as Lizardo's hospital orderly.
Oh, yes.
Known, I think, most recently in the most recent season of Community, but he was Ehrmantraut on Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
And I had no memory of him being in this film, certainly, and I hadn't seen anything else that I really remembered him in before I started watching Breaking Bad. And now it seems like he's everywhere. Old movies, new movies, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
And just such a he's I really like watching his work now.
Oh, he's great. And Bill Henderson, it was great seeing him as the father of the young boy who's I don't even remember what you call them, a blue bonsai helper guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the little when they put out the call to get some help because Bonsai's in trouble, and the kid and his dad fly their helicopter,
and the kid got the gun, and
yeah, that was so funny. But Bill Henderson, he was in Clue, which is definitely one of my guilty pleasures. He was in City Slickers, White Man Can't Jump, Fletch. He's one of those actors who is just in so much stuff, and I think he's retired now, but he had been in a lot of stuff and was just one of those faces, somebody that was very easy to recognize. So It was nice seeing him pop up in there. And the interesting little bit in the original opening of this film is that Jamie Lee Curtis actually was in the deleted scene at the beginning of this film as Buckaroo's mother. The film opens with kind of a home film sort of thing of Buckaroo's parents trying out the original jet car, which ends up getting there's a bomb planted in it by Hanoi Shan, and they are blown up and killed. And so that's when he loses his parents, and what's his name takes over helping him, Professor Hikida. And but Jamie Lee Curtis is actually in the beginning of this film, and I guess I think the thing with a lot of these people is they really love the script. They didn't necessarily understand it completely, but they just loved the vibe of it, and they felt like there was something interesting about it.
Yeah, and that's the experience I get reading these stories of Rauch and Richter talking people into this film, is that they had to talk them into the film, but they didn't have to talk too long. though nobody who really agreed to be in the film is on the record as saying, yeah, I totally knew what I was getting into when I said yes.
Right.
Like they all said yes. Clancy Brown is one that is always a treat to see show up in these things. He was Rawhide, the main sort of lieutenant for Buckaroo. Did you mention his name while I was?
No, but you had mentioned him already.
I did, because I loved him so much in Highlander
and Shawshank.
And Shawshank, wow. And as the voice of Lex Luthor everywhere. If you play any of the Superman video games, or any of if your kids watching any of the Superman cartoons, nothing.
Well, I was going to say, considering we mentioned SpongeBob SquarePants last time,
and
we
he was
have to
Mr.
mention,
Krabs.
And
there,
he's Mr.
right?
Krabs on SpongeBob, right?
Yeah. So he's everywhere. So anyway,
yep, absolutely.
But it's neat to see him show up in this one.
Yeah. All these great actors when they were young.
Oh, and Billy Vera.
Billy Vera.
Nothing? He was Pinky Carruthers of Billy Vera and the Beaters.
Oh, and you know what was weird about Pinky Carruthers is that's the other weird thing about the DVD is you can click on a subtitle track that gives you more factoids, like trivia about the movie.
Yeah.
And it's done, instead of just giving you facts about the movie, it actually says, hey, this is Pinky Carruthers, and they authorized me to tell you more about the story of Buckaroo Banzai. And instead of just telling you facts about how the film was made and stuff like that, it's giving you more in-depth detail about the story, filling you in on the characters and things like that.
Another layer.
I know. It's these people really took it to such extremes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, this was his first film, although if you look at his filmography, he's been in he's been a lot more. He's been in 31 things, mostly TV, lots of voice stuff. But this was his very first film, Billy Vera.
How funny.
What would you think I would? Nothing? No.
Nothing.
You're not going to jump in?
I'm not going to jump in. You take that one.
No, I won't. I'm not going to lay it all out there. Not for you.
Not for
Please. Okay, so how did we've already had allusions to the performance of the film in theaters. Do you have numbers?
I have some basic numbers for it. Like I said, it didn't fare well, and I said 12 million earlier. That was actually 17 million was the budget in 1984 dollars, which is about 38 million in today's dollars, and it made domestically about 6.3 million or so, which is about 14 million in today's dollars. So it definitely lost money. It all in all, it adjusted. It was losing about $232,700 per finished minute. But that's at the time of release, and this is one of those films that, with the cult status and with kind of that growth of people finding an attachment to it, it's found a fan base, and now people are happy to spend money on products, on copies of the film. And so I don't know if it would have actually made its money back by now, but it certainly would have continued making money because it's just going to keep selling.
Well, I just wish that it had made enough to guarantee the sequel. That's what I would love to have seen. And I have to hope someday. I would hope that this would not be remade, but that someone would just come along and continue the story.
Well, W.D. Richter said, there are so many stories in this universe that, it sounds like, I don't know if it's going to be the, Buckaroo Banzai against the World Crime League or one of the other stories, but it does sound like they have not stopped trying to get another story made. I don't think, if it's the same people involved, that they would ever go back and do a remake. I think what they would do is tell the next story whether it's the one with Hanoi Shan or whether it's one of the other stories, they would, find another story. So I'd like to think that the people involved will do everything they can to avoid the remake.
I hope so, and I hope they stay involved. At the same time, there is a little part of me, not a terribly little part of me, that is really quite pleased with the place that Buckaroo has in my own history. And selfishly, as much as I would like to see more from Buckaroo, I really do like where it sits right now.
Yeah.
So let's rank it. Are you ready to rank it?
Yep, I think so.
Are you ready? You were ready when we started.
No, I really did enjoy it. I don't know how high I'm going to put it.
Yeah, right. I am trying to look at this with clear eyes,
Yes.
because I know that even though I really could put this on anytime, I do have, it is a guilty pleasure.
Right.
Okay, I'm ready. So head over to flickchart.com/thenextreel, and you can see our list, our stack ranked list of all the films that we've done on this show. And you can see, hey, how does our list compare to your list? And you can write us letters. And you can seal your letters with a little wax thing with a little stamp to make it official. And you can tell us where we have done right by you. If we've done wrong by you, that's okay. We just want to know where you agree.
That's right.
No. All right. Let's do it. Buckaroo Banzai across the Eighth Dimension.
All right. Here we go. Buckaroo Banzai or the Born Supremacy.
Well,
I would do Born Supremacy.
you hater. Okay.
I'm not a hater.
Born Supremacy.
All right. Buckaroo Banzai or Atlantic City.
Buckaroo Banzai.
I would do Atlantic City.
I would way do Buckaroo Banzai. Are you kidding?
I'll give you Buckaroo because
I was super generous last week.
Yes, I'll give you Buckaroo because it's wacky. It really creates a world. They do a successful job, unlike John Carpenter.
Look, I don't care how you justify it as long as you get there.
Okay, Buckaroo. Buckaroo or Quarantine? I would do Quarantine.
I would also do Quarantine.
All right. Buckaroo or your favorite, The Day of the Locust?
Buckaroo. Hands down and up, Buckaroo.
See, this is hard because it's your guilty pleasure and
yep.
it's not mine.
I will take you. I will play with you if we have to.
You'll play with. No, I'll give you Buckaroo on this one because Day of the Locust is, while I think the superior film, it is a hard film to watch. Whereas Buckaroo, if anything, it's easier to watch. I mean, maybe it's hard to watch because of the era, but there's something about it.
Yes.
Okay, Buckaroo or Thief?
I'd probably do Buckaroo. You do Thief?
I would do Thief.
I could be swayed.
All right, let's do Thief.
All right. Well, you didn't try very hard.
I feel like I've given you Buckaroo on a few that I should have.
I like to be courted.
Yeah. I just like to slap you around a little bit. You'll do it my way, and you'll like it. All right, Buckaroo or It Happened One Night? I would do It Happened One Night.
It happened.
The walls of Jericho are coming down.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you It Happened One Night.
All right, Buckaroo or Run Lola Run?
I do Run Lola Run.
Yeah, me too. Buckaroo or Gallipoli?
Oh, really?
I would do Gallipoli.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Now, there you go. 95 out of 138.
It broke the top 100. My guilty pleasure broke the 100. You know what? I'm going to take that. I'm going to take it. I'm going home.
There you go.
Hey, this was great fun. And now I can't wait to move on to next week and actually watch your film. This was 2008?
2009.
2009, Knowing.
Yeah, Alex Proyas and his fantastic apocalyptic vision of a film.
This gives me a headache because it's both Alex Proyas and Nicolas Cage.
I know.
Like, I don't know how to rationalize those two things. That's the ultimate definition of cognitive dissonance for me.
I think a lot of people didn't know how to rationalize those two things.
But I can't wait to watch it. I'm very excited to have a conversation with you about it. And, okay, so far, halfway through our big Guilty Pleasure series, I got to tell you, this went better than I expected.
I'm surprised, too.
All right, Andy.
Looking forward to next week, my friend.
Good talk, my friend. I got to go to
Monkey
bed.
Boy.
I don't know if I want to talk about Amazon, Andy.
I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of hate.
There are a lot of 5s and a lot of 1s.
Yes.
There's not a lot of gray area on this film. I'm gonna go with C. Keeling, whose subject line is "Zero is not an option." I gave this film a 1 because 0 is not an option. This movie just sucks, IMHO. I know it's supposed to be a cult classic. I'm sure glad I never joined a cult, if this is what you're subjected to. That makes me sad, but someone it wasn't able to get it.
That is pretty funny.
What's yours?
I think just for you, I'm going to give you a 5-star one.
Oh.
By Awesome.
Oh.
Awesome with no E in the middle.
Awesome.
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 One of the best bizarre 80s movies ever made. The ideas and characters are so over the top, and references are made throughout the movie as if you have been following the adventures of Buckaroo for years. Good, clean fun. Clearly, they enjoy it, but don't really pay enough attention to know how to spell Buckaroo, because they put Buckaroo.
This is one of those, hey, stay off my side kind of moments.
Right. Too fun.
Buckaroo.
But he liked it. One of the best bizarre 80s movies ever made.
I call it a win.
It is hard to believe that we have been having in-depth weekly conversations about movies since 2011.
So many great conversations over the years about so many great movies.
And some stinkers.
Well, true. But producing this show week after week requires a ton of work behind the scenes. If you'd like to help support our efforts, one easy way is by using our Originals page when shopping for books and movies that we've covered.
Just visit thenextreel.com/originals. Your purchases made through our links give us a small commission at no extra cost to you and allow us to keep having these great discussions.
In Season 3, we covered even more great adaptations like The Night of the Hunter and It Happened One Night, both part of our Couples on the Run series.
We talked about No Country for Old Men. The Coen brothers so rarely adapt someone else's work.
We had some fun rom-com adaptations like About a Boy, based on the Nick Hornby novel, and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, adapted from Rachel Cohn and David Levithan's book.
In our terribly and naively named foreign language series, we discussed The Brilliant City of God and The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, which I won't ever be able to watch again, ever.
But could you read the original memoir?
I don't know, maybe?
We had our Richard Dysart series with adaptations like The Day of the Locust and Being There.
Plus, we had that fantastic interview with the man himself.
The one where we had him sit on the floor?
Because this chair was so squeaky. Good times.
We did our first Tom Hanks series with Forrest Gump, adapted from Winston Groom's novel, plus Apollo 13, based on Lost Moon by Jim Lovell.
And we did another year series looking at films from 1981, including Das Boot, Gallipoli, and Thief, all based on books.
Listeners can dive deeper into all of these original stories and more at thenextreel.com/originals. Every book, play,
movie,
video game. You bet. We have talked about some video game adaptations as well. It doesn't matter the source, just follow the link. Every purchase supports the podcast.
Check out the full list at thenextreel.com/originals and get reading, watching, performing, or playing today.